So the earlier period of human history, when human beings were controlled by the natural forces. Okay, when human beings were controlled by the natural forces, the nature used to dictate the life of the human beings, and human beings, they adapted themselves with the nature actually. Such phase is known as the environmental determinism, or the phase of naturalization of human. Okay, at that period of time, the level of technology was very much less. Then, with a better understanding of the natural forces, the human beings started developing the technology. With the better understanding of the natural forces, the human beings started developing technology. Okay. And so with the passage of time, the human beings, they started understanding the nature and the natural forces, and they started developing the technology. Okay. So they came to know about the law of aerodynamics and all. They invented the planes. Okay, by understanding the secrets of DNA and all, the human beings, the medical science, it got more advanced and it became developed and all. So like this way, with the passage of time, human beings went on developing the technology. Okay, and the technology went on evolving from a low level of technology. The human beings now is at present having the higher level of technology. Okay, so all this has become possible because of understanding of the nature, and now the human beings, with the help of the technology, is utilizing the natural resources. Okay, as well as we are actually controlling the nature and the natural forces to some extent. Okay, so this phase of human life, when the human beings are much more powerful than the nature, okay, because of the availability of the technology, is known as the humanization of nature. That means the nature has been humanized. Okay, and the nature has provided us with various opportunities, with various possibilities, and through these opportunities and the possibilities, okay, by using the technology, the human beings has put its imprints everywhere on the world, everywhere on the earth's surface actually. Okay, so this present situation, when the human beings are developing themselves by dictating the nature, okay, by ruling the nature with the help of technology, is known as the possibilism. Okay, or it is also known as the humanization of nature. But a geographer named Griffith Taylor, he came up with a new concept, and the new concept is neo-determinism. Okay, so Griffith Taylor, he said that neither there was a situation of absolute necessity, nor there is a situation of absolute freedom. Okay, so Griffith Taylor was the geographer, actually scholar, who came up with this new theory actually, and which is also known as the middle path. Okay, that is the neo-determinism. So now we are going to focus about the neo-determinism actually. I mean, okay, the concept of neo-determinism given by Griffith Taylor. See, so a geographer, Griffith Taylor, introduced another concept which reflects a middle path, that is Madhyam Marg, between the two ideas of environmental determinism and possibilism. Okay, so the idea of neo-determinism, or the concept of neo-determinism, was given by Griffith Taylor. Okay, and this concept of neo-determinism is also known as the middle path or Madhyam Marg. Why? Because the idea of neo-determinism, it lies between the idea of environmental determinism and between the idea of possibilism. So that is why it is also said middle path or Madhyam Marg actually. Okay, so he termed it as neo-determinism or stop-and-go determinism. So Griffith Taylor, he termed this concept as neo-determinism or stop-and-go determinism. Okay, so neo-determinism or stop-and-go determinism is the new idea, okay, or you can say is a new idea of understanding the man and the nature relation, the relationship between the man and the nature, the relationship between the human beings and the environment. Okay. So those of you who live in the cities actually, okay, so those of you who live in the cities might have seen the traffic is regulated by the lights on the road. So we people basically live in the cities and we know about the traffic signals and all. Okay. So basically the traffic is being controlled by the traffic light, by the traffic signals. So there are three lights actually. Okay. The red, green, and the amber or the yellow actually. Okay, so when the red light is there, what does it mean actually? We stop. The amber light, it provides a gap between the red and the green light. Okay, that is the yellow light, it provides a gap between red and green light. And to set, and green light means go actually. Okay, and when it is the green light, we actually proceed ahead. Okay, so Neo-determinism, the concept of neo-determinism also tries to explain the same thing, that human beings must proceed to exploit the nature and its resources when the nature permits. Okay, where the nature permits, and if the nature does not permit, we should not move ahead because it is the red signal. And where it is the green signal, where the nature permits, then we can move ahead in those areas. Okay, so the concept shows that neither is there a situation of absolute necessity, nor is there a condition of absolute freedom. Okay, so the concept of neo-determinism, it shows that neither is there a situation of absolute necessity, actually, that is environmental determinism, or nor there is a condition of absolute freedom, that is possibilism. It means that human beings can conquer nature by obeying it. Okay, so it means that the human beings, they can conquer the nature, they can rule the nature, okay, only by obeying it. And it is true, like in the earlier phase, the nature was controlling the human beings, and the human beings was just like they were dictated by the nature, actually. But when human beings started developing the technology, they developed the technology, the human beings become very much powerful, and now they are exploiting the resources, they are exploiting the nature. But ultimately, the consequences we are facing now, isn't it? Like, because of the advanced technology, the nature has been exploited, the environment has been exploited. So nowadays we are facing various kinds of problems, environmental issues, global warming, okay, rise in the sea level, melting of the glaciers and all. Okay, so these are the various environmental problems which we are facing because of exploitation of the environment by the help of the technology. So this is why it is said that uh, human beings can conquer the nature. Okay, human beings can conquer the nature, and they can develop themselves by obeying the nature. Okay, so we must follow the rules of the nature, which will be beneficial for both the human beings as well as for the environment, for the nature. Okay, so they have to respond to the red signal and can proceed in their pursuits of development when nature permits the modification. Okay, so they means the human beings. So human beings have to proceed to the red signal, respond to the red signal. So we human beings must follow the red signals, okay, which the environment shows, actually. And we can proceed in our pursuit of development. Okay, we can proceed further for our development when the nature permits the modification, actually means when the nature permits us to bring some changes in it, okay, to bring some alteration in it, actually. Okay, so the main idea of neo-determinism is that the human beings were never in a situation of environmental determinism, that is, they were never in a situation of absolute necessity, okay, or nor the human beings are in the present situation of absolute freedom or possibilism. Okay, that means the human beings were never fully dictated by the nature, or not the human beings are now fully free enough to exploit the nature of the natural forces and all. Okay, because the nature is still superior. Okay, because even the technology fails in front of the nature in many cases. Okay, so this is why we must proceed. Okay, we must respond to the signals provided by the nature, by the environment, that is the red, amber, and the green. Okay. Okay, so this idea, okay, okay, so it means that possibilities can be created within the limits which do not damage the environment, and there is no free run without accident. Okay, so it means that the possibilities of human development, okay, human development can be created, or human development can take place within the limits, okay, within the limits of the environment, okay, which does not cause damage to the environment. Okay, so if we follow these limits, okay, if we follow our limits and all, so what will happen, the environment will not get damaged, okay, and there will be no problems for the human beings as well as for the environment. So there is no free run without accident. So if a biker, he rides the bike at a very faster speed, what is going to happen? Obviously accident will take place, isn't it? So here the same case, it tries to explain that we must follow our limit. So if we follow our limit, we are not going to face any kind of environmental problem, or we are not going to deteriorate the environmental conditions, actually. Okay, so basically, the free run which the developed economies attempted to take has already resulted in the greenhouse effect, ozone layer depletion, global warming, receding glaciers, and degrading lands. Okay, so basically the free run, okay, the free run which the developed economies, that means the developed countries has attempted, okay, to develop the economy. Like many of the developed countries, okay, they have exploited the nature indiscriminately by the help of the technology, okay, for their economic development, for their social and cultural development. So this is just because of them only. Now we are facing the problem of greenhouse effect. There's a ozone layer depletion, okay, global warming is there. There's a receding of the glaciers, as well as degradation of the land has taken place. Okay, so these are the various environmental problems which are taking place at present, and the intensity of these environmental problems are also increasing day by day. Why? Because human beings has caused a lot of damage to the environment, and still today we are causing a lot of damage to the environment. Okay, so this is the main reason actually. That means we are not following the limits, we are not following the idea of neo-determinism actually. Okay, so the neo-determinism conceptually attempts to bring a balance, nullifying the either or the dichotomy. Okay, so basically the concept of neo-determinism introduced by Griffith Taylor, it tries to bring a balance. Okay, it tries to bring a balance between by nullifying the either or the dichotomy. Actually, okay, by like denying both the facts of environmental determinism and positivism. Okay, so it tries to bring a balance between the two. Okay, so basically the concept of neo-determinism, it tries to bring a balance between the two completely different ideas of environmental determinism and positivism. Okay, so the main objective of Griffith Taylor to come up with his theory of neo-determinism is to create a balance between the idea of neo-determinism and positivism, because he believes that human beings were never fully dictated by the nature, and not the human beings are in a condition to rule the nature with the help of technology. Okay, so human beings, they can conquer the nature, they can help themselves to develop only by obeying the nature, only by following the limits, okay, of the environment. Okay, so this is the concept of neo-determinism. Okay, so the concept of neo-determinism is also known as middle path. It is also known as madhyam graph, or it is also known as the stop and go determinism. So the main concept, the main thing here is what is the concept of neo-determinism, okay, and who introduced this theory of neo-determinism actually. I hope you all have understood about the concept of neo-determinism or stop and go determinism.